On his triumphant return to Accra, Osagyefo was greeted by one of the biggest crowds ever seen in the capital. Thousands of men, women and children came to give thanks for his safe deliverance. But even amidst the jubilation, traitors were plotting. However, justice conquers evil, and in time those who sought to spread destruction and fear in the land were themselves sought out and brought to justice. And so it is that today, when peace, progress and prosperity fill the land, that Kulungugu is remembered. Gone is the fear, and in its place comes happiness. From the village to the city of Accra, and at the Young Pioneer Center, a grand dance is organized to round up the day's activities. While the red spots play the music, the dancers provide the highlight. Big attraction at this dance is the crowning of Miss Kulungugu, and the first beauty to win this coveted title is Miss Salome Ajete-Ajin. And so a year passes, and the first Kulungugu anniversary is observed by Ghanaians everywhere, a day that symbolizes the joy of our people over a dark phase in our new history.
Doubts in Ghana were at an end. The Queen's visit was going to take place. From near and far, Ghanaians converged on the airport, hoping to be among the first to see the royal lady of whom they'd heard so much. Most of the tribal chiefs were there, and 40 paramount chiefs, with umbrellas to indicate to the knowing the degree of rank importance. One apologetically explained that as accommodation in Accra was limited, most of them had brought only one wife. Drums announced the arrival of the aircraft. President and Mrs. Nkrumah arrived with members of the government and other persons of importance. And what a majestic sight when the giant Boeing taxied in. No detail was omitted that stamped this as the most memorable occasion in the history of the airport. Her Majesty and the Duke of Edinburgh were here at last. 55 minutes late indeed, but that was owing to the fog-postponed takeoff at the London end. As the Queen was escorted by the President, the Duke walked with Mrs. Fatia Nkrumah, the Egyptian-born lady whom the President married 4 years ago. The Osagyefo, as Nkrumah loves to be called, the word means redeemer, presented the chiefs and others of note. Their obvious pleasure showed how keen the disappointment would have been if Her Majesty had not come to Ghana. It all seemed to illustrate the mystique of the monarchy. For while Ghana insists on being a republic and makes it clear to the people that Her Majesty is not their queen, all at the airport received her with as much enthusiasm as if she ruled over them by divine right. chiefs and such followers as they allowed made up a total of more than 3,000. Quite apart from the wives already mentioned, some of them have more than 50 children. It's as well that most of them stayed at home. When all the greetings and presentations were over, the President and his guests began the 6-mile drive to the Christiansborg Castle. The Duke rode with Madam and Nkrumah. The route was lined by fully 350,000 people. Next day, there was a parade of the armed forces in the Queen's honour. Black Star Square cost the strained Ghanaian exchequer £1 million to lay out. But the President needs such an arena when he addresses mass meetings of his people. Hot for you, sir? What must it be for the visitors? But now all eyes were on the troops. British trained and displaying that the highest military traditions were being followed in these days of independence. The Army numbers 6,000. The National Police, 10,000. The pick of them lined up for inspection by the Queen and the President. The Queen could well understand with what pride Nkrumah and his people look upon the army. Independent Ghana is a very young nation, only 4 years old. It was not proclaimed a republic until last year. This was a formal ceremony. On the following day came an informal one, the surfboat regatta, and the display of skill used in civil purposes. As Accra is without a harbour, ships have to anchor a mile out in the roads and be loaded and unloaded by surfboat. Each has a helmsman and 10 paddlers, and as they pack 1 3/4 tons of cargo, and the boat weighs 1,800 weights, strength as well as skill is needed to fight the breakers. The regatta was seen by Her Majesty from a Mogul pavilion, a portable one which will be much used during the tour. And here's that strength and skill we mentioned. Naturally, the people of Accra are very fond of the surfboats and the men who man them. Today, they have one regret. When the huge artificial harbour at Tema, 6 miles away, is completed, the surfboats will be out of business. Perhaps that was one reason why the 1,000 men and the 115 boats taking part determined to put up a fine show. How well they earned their applause. More of the real Ghana was seen at the Makola Market, an association of 80,000 members. Here the Queen met the people. Indeed, almost rubbed shoulders with them. Every visitor to Accra wants to see the mammies, the plump stallholders who realize that silence has no place in salesmanship. Anyway, it's all here. Gay clothes, they have to be gay to sell in Ghana, spices, vegetables, and doubtless detergents. Impossible here to be unaware of how warm-hearted, vital, abounding with life are the lovable people of Ghana.
Those who, for the greed of money, for themselves and their families, are destroying our water body, may God kill all of them. The people are committing genocide, poisoning our waters, and we are looking on and playing politics around it. It's evil, it's barbaric. The people who manage our water say that, look, now there are children, they found mercury, cyanide, and things in their blood, causing cancers and limbs. you will see the water is very clear. But when you take it to the laboratories, you see chemicals. That was what they said on TV. The woman said that the fact that our water is clear and you are drinking it does not guarantee that the water is chemical and cyanide free. Some of the politicians, some of the opinion leaders, some of the chiefs are involved in the pollution of our waters. And God don't punish them. God don't punish them for destroying our water bodies. How can you compare a few hundreds and thousands of people and the activities in killing 33 billion people? Foreigners have entered and they are mining on our waters, and we are looking on. What kind of a people are we? Can you go to China and go and do galamsey in China? Can you go? Which country can you go to and go and do galamsey there? It shows the weakness of our system. That foreigners will come into our country, go into our forest reserve, and then our water that are clean, and they will mine in the water.
You've had 79 days in office. Why haven't you declared state of emergency?
We are treating the matter as an emergency matter. I've just told you. Now we are working on the clock 24 hours a day. The thing is that in a free society, even when there's crisis, you try to solve it without creating fear and panic. And that's what this government
But it's not a national state of emergency. I think that's the claim in September, October, which I believe you agreed with, was that state of emergency should be declared in specific areas.
I think we are.
And you agreed to that?
We are already doing it.
You have not.
Well, we have. I just told you how did we in less than a month reverse 7 red to yellow? I'm just simply telling you that we have decided that these matters are matters of grave importance, and they are matters that must be dealt with all the urgency and emergency that it deserves.
Minister, state of urgency is not an adjectival clause. It's a legal term.
Yes.
You know more than I do. Article 31(1).
Yes.
It talks about things like curfews, restrictions of movement.
Who has the power to declare it?
The president.
Good.
With the support of parliament,
yes,
which you have a 2/3 majority.
This is what I know. The president is treating this matter as a top priority. But the president wants to make sure that the people of Ghana can be assured that he's on top of this.
So why has he opted not to declare the state of emergency?
I just told you, he's dealing with the issue, and we are making progress. And the people of Ghana can
That was not your view in opposition.
I'm just telling you what is important here. I don't know what was our view.
Well,
we told you we deal with the matter with all the serious.
In fact, one of your colleagues, who's now a cabinet minister, he said that Mahama needs just 5 days to deal with galamsey. Samojot said it. It's on air. The video is there. You've seen it. So the point about declaring state of emergency was very clear.
Well,
and you supported that.
I've just told you my strong views about this matter. This is a matter that must be dealt with as a matter that is urgent, and all the emergency measures must be put in place, and we are doing exactly
What is the fear?
What we don't want to do is to do a 6 o'clock announcement and tell the whole Ghana that a curfew has been declared.
But there's already curfew in Boku. The country hasn't stopped running.
But there's no curfew in the whole of Ghana.
Nobody says you should in the whole of Ghana. Because mine is not being the whole of Ghana.
There's a lot of things at play.
No, but Minister, if you can declare state of emergency in Boku, where people are fighting, and the state of emergency is solving a problem. In fact, it's reported that in some of the places, the people doing the mining and their protectors are not from Ghana. So you can say that they are attacking our sovereignty.
As the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, I can tell the people of Ghana that we are dealing with this matter with all the emergency measures, all the urgency, the seriousness. And that's what...
Excluding state of emergency.
And that they can be assured that we'll be relentless and we'll make sure that we'll win this fight.
Welcome to the show. Good evening. Today I'm in black, because it's not a very good day for the democracy and the judiciary and all of that. What we've set out to do today is that we began our production as usual from yesterday, the day before yesterday, but in this afternoon we are about to change everything and then just come on to the Chief Justice story, which is why we're here. We're going to, as usual, take you through the historical process and show you what has been happening in efforts to change Chief Justices and the role of the judiciary, in a democracy, such as Ghana's democracy. We're going to examine its 2nd Republican Constitution of 69. We're going to look at Supreme Court behaviors that have helped sustain the judiciary. We're going to make a big argument on that and say that the ballot box is available every quarter, every 4 years, December, so that we can elect a president and a parliament. So a party which is running for government can win the presidency and also win the parliament. But because democracy recognizes minority rights and also recognizes a balance in the constitutional arrangement, why does the democracy need a balance? The democracy needs the balance for the sustainability of the democracy itself. Without the balance, the democracy is unsustainable. If it's unsustainable, then we gear towards anarchy, military insurrections, military mutinies. If you don't have a sustainable democracy, that's what you get. So with the balance is very, very relevant. And I will be showing you, together with my team, of how the judiciary has been effective in this balance. Because once we come from the polls, we have elected a president and often we have elected parliament. Sometimes the parliament may be balanced, as we saw in 2020. Often the parliament has a majority, but sometimes it has an overwhelming majority, as we saw in 2016 and now in 2024. Tonight, our concern is about that. And I'm in black because it's a sad day for the democracy. I'm very, very sad. Let's get onto the touchscreen and start our business tonight. We'll do a few things, take a break. Lawyer Bafo, the Member of Parliament for Mencia South, will be joining us in the studio to give us some legal assessment. But if you don't know what has happened, join me on the touchscreen. Let me show you. But I like this song, even though I'm not able to sing it well. Sewo bompaya eya kai Ghana. Chre unyankopon fagana shenisa enu na o your mind papa enu na o odo ma woman enu na yeshishe odo ma woman enu ne hia Seu bompaya eya kai Ghana Chre unyankopon fagana shenisa enu na wo your mind papa enu na wo odo ma woman enu na yeshishe odo ma woman enu ne hia. Wow. So I have the flyer back on the screen because we advertised the flyer without saying what we're going to discuss. We're hoping that people will glean from the flyer what we mean. This is His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama. This is Justice Gertrude Tokonu. The arrow swings from Tokonu to Justice Paul Bafuboni, a good man, whom I met the other day. I won't tell you where I met him. And the arrow goes to Justice Yoni Kulendi. And then the arrow goes to Justice X. And it goes to Justice Y. What are we depicting with this flyer? Seu bompaya eya kai Ghana Chre unyankopon fagana shenisa enu na u your mind papa enu na u odo ma u mind enu na yeshishe odo ma u mind enu ne hia. Okay, let's look at the document that came, the letter that just came from the presidency today. Let's start with that and then we'll get on to I have a story on Iyoko that I want to talk about. I have a story on Iyoko, but let's look at the document. Okay, presidency communication. Do I have it this way? Yes. Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025, President Mahama suspends Chief Justice after setting up a committee to probe petitions. President John Dramani Mahama has, in accordance with Article 1466 of the Constitution, in consultation with the Council of State, determined that a prima facie case has been established in respect of 3 petitions against the Chief Justice, Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Araba Isaba Saki Tokonu. The President has consequently established a committee in compliance with Article 1466 of the Constitution, in consultation with the Council of State, with the following composition to inquire into the petitions which have been referred to them. Justice Gabriel Scott Poamine, Justice of the Supreme Court. Justice Samuel Kwame Adibu Asiedu, Justice of the Supreme Court, member. Gabriel Poamine is chairman. Mr. Daniel Yao Domlevel, former Auditor General and member of Oral. What's happening? Daniel Domlevel, former Auditor General and member of Oral, is also a member of the committee. Military Major Flora Bazwanura Dalugo, member, Ghana Armed Forces. Professor James Sefa Jiza, Associate Professor, University of Ghana, member, pursuant to Article 146(10) of the Constitution, and in accordance with the advice of the Council of State, the President has, by a warrant, suspended the Chief Justice with immediate effect, pending the outcome of the committee's proceedings. These are the members of the panel. The committee. Today I've been talking to my producer. I say panel and he gets confused. He says, do you mean the committee? Yes, I mean the committee. So forgive me, viewers, if I interchange the panel with the committee, but it's committee. That's the correct nomenclature. Justice Gabriel Scott Poamine is a beautiful, nice man. But as we know, there's a petition that was forwarded to the President about the removal of Gabriel Scott Poamine from the Supreme Court. That petition, the President forwarded it to Gertrude Saki Tokonu, the Chief Justice. That petition is before the Chief Justice. So Poamine is going to sit on a petition about which a prima facie has been made against the Lord Chief Justice. Poamine was selected by President John Dramani Mahama to sit on the committee. Poamine has a petition against him right now. So we don't know. Do you know, viewers? I don't know. The lawyers, are you there? Please, can you send a text message to Good Evening Ghana official? Let's look at it. Because Justice Gabriel Poamine has a petition pending against him for his removal from the Supreme Court. It's standing there. I have the petition. It's forwarded to the Lord Chief Justice, forwarded by President Mahama. So President Mahama, weeks ago, wrote to the Lord Chief Justice that, have a look at it, pursuant to Article 146, isn't it? That when there's a petition against a Supreme Court judge, you forward it to the Lord Chief Justice. President Mahama did that in fulfillment of his duties as president. Then President Mahama also nominates the same said judge about whom there is a petition against, which has been forwarded to the Chief Justice for a prima facie determination to be made, which the Chief Justice has forwarded to Gabriel Poamine for his responses, so that she will be able to make the prima facie decision. Now, we wake up this morning and Gabriel Poamine is chairing the committee that is going to listen to the petition against the Lord Chief Justice. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. Then there's Justice Samuel Kwame Adibu Asiedu. Nice man, beautiful man. He's a great lecturer as well. I hear he teaches very well. Now, who is Justice Samuel Kwame Adibu Asiedu? Justice Kwame Adibu Asiedu, who is a member of this committee, is the same said judge who did not show up because he was unwell for the hearing of the matters that were raised in the writ of Asifwa relating to the injunction that was purportedly being prepared by the plaintiffs for the hearing of the court against the process of the Chief Justice's impeachment. So there was a legal action that was filed. You saw the Attorney General in court, you saw Godfrey Dami in court, and the Attorney General came and they said that the first day the Attorney General didn't come. So the case was not heard. It was rescheduled. It was rescheduled until last week, Wednesday. Last week, Wednesday, everybody went to court. All the media were there. We were told by the president of the court or by the lawyers that one judge, one of the 5 judges, is not able to sit. And so the case didn't happen. The said judge who was unable to sit is His Lordship, Mr. Justice Samuel Kwame Adibu Asiedu. He it was who couldn't sit, for which reason the application was not heard, and the application was rescheduled till May 6th. Now, in constituting the panel, President John Dramani Mahama nominates Justice Kwame Adibu Asiedu to sit. Some of the lawyers are telling me this evening that he may recuse himself because he's already on the panel. The panel will hear the matter on 6th of May. He has been asked to sit for the impeachment of the Chief Justice. There's a clear conflict of sorts. I don't know how you call it, whether it's conflict of interest, conflicts of philosophy, conflict of appointment. I don't know. But there's a kind of conflict of sorts, isn't it? There is. So Adibu Asiedu has been nominated by the president to sit on the committee, not the panel, the committee that is to look at the Chief Justice's situation to make a determination whether she should remain as Chief Justice or whether she should take a bow and get fired out and get disgraced. This Justice Kwame Adibu Asiedu, he didn't show up for the case. He was unwell. Now, he's nominated to be on the committee that is to determine whether the Lord Chief Justice has done something wrong or not. Gabriel Pama has a petition pending. Maybe I'll give you the details of the petition. I don't know whether I'm able to do that. I'll consult the lawyers during the break. When I consult, they say I should show you. I will show you the petition. As for Daniel Domlevodie, he's my man. You know, those of us who come from the south, Sogakopa, Jelukopa, Adudome, Keta, we are brothers. Those of us who come from the south, we are the same. So I don't know whether he's from Jelukopa or Sogakopa, but if you are Jelukopa, you are Sogakopa, you are Adudome, Denu, we are the same. So Domlevo is my brother, yeah. Daniel Yao Domelevo is on the panel. That's understandable. That's understandable. Auditor General, the matters that were raised about auditing, that's really understandable. That's understandable. And then we have armed forces people. I don't like talking about them publicly, so I will not mention the armed forces lady, the major. Major, I salute you. I salute you. Professor James Sefa Jiza. You may not know of her, but yes, she's on the panel as well. This is the matter that is going to occupy our attention tonight on Good Evening Ghana and many other nights to come. So bompaya eya kai Ghana tre onyankopon fagana shensa. All right. Now let me tell you a story about Iyoko and then I'll come back and Lawyer Bafo is here. Tonight we're going to deal with it big time. So since Kwabena Edubuahin was left to come home, we have been dealing with the matter. We have spoken to his lawyers in extenso, and we are getting to the bizarre conclusion that 1 + 1 is not 2. It's not always 2. Bizarre conclusion. That 3 + 3 is not 6. That 2 + 2 is not what? It's not 4. Do you know what happened? My friend Raymond Archer here, Raymond, you see his white beard, you know. His boss is this man here, Abdullahi Dapila, the Iyoko boss. The Iyoko boss is thinking, or we have been told that he's thinking, do we believe it? I don't know yet. That Raymond Archer here is marauding all over the place and doing his own things and setting his own agenda. And he's running on his own account. And he's able to convince President Mahama and Dominic Ayini that there was something wrong about what Kwabena Edubuahin's accounts or something like that. Viewers, as we speak, after keeping Kwabena Edubuahin and his dear wife in cells 3 weeks, the learned Attorney General, who held a maximum press conference and explained that he has already finished with Edubuahin and that Edubuahin there is in jail. 3 weeks after that, in the Republic and the Constitution, Edubuahin is yet to be charged. To today, what's the time? 9:44. Today is 22nd April. Kwabena Edubuahin is yet to be charged. Do you know why? Because they are beginning to find out that they may have been misled by the whims and caprices of Lord Archer. Why? Because the matters that were raised against Kwabena Dubois by Raymond Archer, which got everybody here excited, it's a very simple matter to have been investigated. Raymond Archer is not a member of national security, has never been. Okay, he's a very good journalist. Never been a member of national security. He says that he has found that Kwabena Dubois has an account, National Bureau account, and he has opened another account for his wife to buy things for national security. This is Raymond Archer's claim, which was repeated by Dominic Ayine, the learned Attorney General. Now, check this out, viewers. The matter that they are talking about, who should be the complainant? It should be the National Security Coordinator. He it is who can find the person who has replaced Kwabena Dubois at the National Signals Bureau and say, come, what is this account issue? If they find that there's a problem, they go to the National Security Coordinator. Between the National Signals Bureau and whoever is investigating, it goes to the National Security Coordinator. He will conduct an internal investigation and make a conclusion that yes, Kwabena Dubois moved $7 million United States dollars from a bank into his personal account and nobody saw it. Kandapa, his boss didn't see it. President Akufo-Addo, Bank of Ghana, they didn't see it. Or the suggestion is that they were all part of it, so they all took their money and chopped. Okay. So Raymond Archer managed to convince all these people. This man was suspicious. His boss was quite suspicious, but he was not part of the process. We are gathering all the information. They will wonder where we got it from. Don't worry. We are all Ghanaians. I told you that those of us who come from the south, Adudome, Sogakope, Jelukope, we are brothers. So I get the information. Now, he is worried that he wasn't part of the process because the process was handled lock, stock, and barrel by Raymond Archer. The deputy Yoko boss, he handled the process lock, stock, and barrel. He did. And he sent the information to Dominic Ayine, who swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. Dominic Ayine then convinced President John Dramani Mahama, who is too busy. Of course, a new president is busy. He's handling 60 ministers, international community, Sahel problems. He's busy. So the president probably didn't look at it. He trusts the Attorney General. But the Attorney General is now finding out. You see, when you are eating fish bone and the thing chokes you, but the food is nice, but the thing has choked you. So, but the food is nice, so you still want to eat more food, something like that. The Attorney General swallows hook, line, and sinker everything that Raymond Archer did by so moto, as they say in law. So moto. He went around so moto that he has found something spectacular. And it's 3 weeks now, the Attorney General, now the matter has shifted from law. Raymond Archer is not a lawyer. The matter has shifted from gossip to law. You have to charge the person. In law, there are two words that I'd like you to go and search and tell me. A priori is Latin, and a posteriori is also Latin. Go and check. Raymond Archer was operating on a priori. The matter has now come before the Attorney General. He has swallowed the evidence, hook, line, and sinker, the so-called evidence. Attorney General must now prosecute. 4 weeks, no charge. Because the charges are predictable. They are in the Criminal Offences Act, okay? They are already there. Act 29. 30 is the procedure. Now, he's going to look at it and say, should I pick stealing? So there's no charge called Kwabena Dubois has offended. No. You have to charge him defrauding by false pretenses, stealing, causing financial loss to the state. In each of these cases, there are ingredients of the offense, and you must demonstrate the ingredients of the offense. So the matter has now shifted from gossip, press conference, charade, and brouhaha. All that is fine. That is for us journalists. We jump about Yachino. No, that is not where we are now. The matter is before the Attorney General. It has to go to court. 4 weeks, Attorney General hasn't charged. So I'm suggesting to you viewers, at the beginning of our inquiry on this matter, we're going to come with a lot. At the beginning of our inquiry on this matter, first things we are finding is that Lord Archer may have misled everyone on this Kwabena Dubois. He may have misled everyone. Was it a personal vendetta? Did he have something personal to prove? What was it about? Seubompaya ya kai Ghana Chewu Nyankopon Fagana Shenisa. And no, now they are signaling me that I should stop the singing with my horrible voice and let's move on because we have a lot to deal with tonight. Tonight, we have so much. But I'm happy that I found time to deal with this preliminary matter. It's preliminary. We are going to go into it. Remember the things I said you should look for? A priori, a posteriori. When you see the meaning, send both to Raymond Archer. That Paul Adumachi say you are doing something a priori, something a posteriori. What is it? This is what has happened. Now, viewers, causing financial loss to the state is an offense. It can be dealt with at any time. This is the matter. As for Yoko boss Abdullah, he is unhappy. He may not admit it. He is completely unhappy. He thinks that Raymond Archer is taking. He's a police officer. He's a COP. He knows what to do. As for National Security Coordinator, he is completely unhappy. That what is this? What are they doing? We hear, oh, I told you, Zelokope, Sogakope, Adudome, Denu, we are brothers. I'll leave it here. I take a break. When I come back, we start with the ballot box. And then we go to Justice Gertrude Araba Esaba Tokonu, President John Dramani Mahama, Learned Attorney General Mr. Dominic Ayini. The Supreme Court's panel, 5 of them, seated to hear the matter, including Asiedu, who is now on the other side in terms of the committee that's going to hear the Chief Justice matter. Need I say more? 10 minutes to the hour at 10 o'clock. Give me 5 minutes of break. I beg you, don't go anywhere. When we come back, Charlie, you will love it. I'll be right back.
There's nothing worse than your multi-bet missing, but nothing better than having it saved. BetSaver. And Yao. After hours of planning, both have locked in the same perfect multi-bet. Big win for United, over 1.5. And both teams to score in the London Derby. But who could have picked Leicester over City? Or a high-scoring game at the Bridge? There's nothing worse than having your perfect multi-bet missing. But there's nothing better than having it saved. BetSaver. Win, even if your bet misses.
Fire pomudi ni agobi Ghana fueni age efi say ya your local spices na ya frafra dia ya sankofa natural spice me de go me jollof mu me misti wa hodoma e ma ne dance Stanley the barbecue the go on sankofa natural spices eno an e be use 100% natural said the yepen no adofo mamunye huge mistake sankofa natural spices the FDA ejedi nkratu yatu Brush your teeth. Brush 2 times a day. Brush with Kel-Kit.
Hello, my friends. My name is Kel-Kit Toothpaste.
Wow.
I was made to be gentle on your gum, but protected. I will protect your teeth from cavity, make your teeth whiter, stronger, keep your mouth fresh all day. And best of all, I'm strawberry flavored. So put on a smile and try me.
That's amazing.
Just try me. That's my job.
If you say so, jump on my brush. Makes your teeth stronger. Chicky whiter. Chicky stronger. Yay! You did it.
I'm glad you like your new toothpaste. Don't forget to brush both day and night.
Kel-Kits. Happy smile.
Playing for your country, easy. Scoring, easy. Avoiding injuries, easy. Winning, easy. But you know what be easy now? Kivo 4-in-1 Gary mix. Easy. It gets everything inside. Gary, creamer, sugar, roasted granules. Just add water, then sharp my soakings make ready. Taste and energy, made easy. I'm a match winner, but the real champion is Kivo 4-in-1 Gary mix. Champion taste.
This advert is FDA approved.
You the answer to my prayers. You with me everywhere. You're my angel, miracle. You're all I need tonight. Give me shelter from the rain. You breathe life in me again. You're my angel, miracle. You're all I need to know tonight.
Look around. Home also need a makeover. Mine clearly does. So we went to Ashroom and found the Como collection. It had everything we're looking for and more. Matching furniture for the entire home, designed with you in mind.
Where's Como collection? Dressing up is just a breeze. Always ready with a perfect accessory.
A magic dressing mirror. One look and you're ready to face the world. Or at least the kids.
A bed perfect for young men who want
A table that turns into a treasure chest.
And finally, a sofa with this grand TV unit for family time at home.
Head over to any Ashphone store now and discover the new Como collection. Ashphone, feel it, know it.
After this fufu and pepper soup, I go score goals like them the dash points.
Kivo 100% natural hot pepper. Good for your jollof, stew, soup, shito, spaghetti, and noodles. Kivo hot pepper. Moko show.
I'm a match winner, but the real champion is Kivo 100% natural hot pepper. Champion taste.
This advert is FDA approved.
You want to get polytank?
Oh, and you're right.
Go straight.
No, I want to left, right.
Ghana na ye wono. So when you do more, any data. Who knows? I bet na here. Me pe polytank ato. Enu tin na menu ba you to be abet na ba hedo. O fu to bia e de enjoy ye kura.
Akuya bulambu kotoman. Emu ha.
Like they took my eyes. Go to the distributor and you give the original polytank. Polytank. You get a sound?
Polytank. Papananka Sankasa.
Cratchy, unemu bua unkoisha Dr. Ban uye denwa.
Oh, Mr. Yamfani come and me burua.
Mami bro. Don't ya tell me ko bra. Mumi yamfani ko Dr. Ban ho. Dr. Ban o ya de. Bra, se ban no mpemu adwuma sasabro slow Dr. Ban o ye.
Hey, say me kwada meka. Oh no mpemu nimdi ono na ye expert nya zanfo no. O akra any Kumasi no mpemu expert yen kan kire o.
There's nothing worse than your multi-bet missing, but nothing better than having it saved. Bet Saver.
Welcome back. Okay, let's take the text messages, and we are just adding 1 or 2 photographs. Labafo is in the studio. We'll take him very soon. Let's do the text messages, and then we'll come back. So, Antoinette and Kobe, what are people saying? Let me start with who, Antoinette? All right, Antoinette.
Thank you so much, Paul. So, on the story of the suspension of this Chief Justice, there are people that seem to like the idea. There are others that also are against it, but some people are very indifferent. Jafar Ken says, Paul, today is very sad, a day for our country's democracy. John Mahama could have left a legacy worthy of emulation than this clueless governance. Now, every position has become political, and with the appointer, President Mahama and the NDC should remember that saying that if the tail of a cow didn't remain permanent with a cow, how long would it take to be in the hands of a native doctor? Emmanuel Daniel Donko says, how can an attorney general, with all the evidence he puts in the public against Edubuahin, not charge him? Something is definitely not adding up. The AG was clear that the guy has stolen the money, and why is he walking away? Samuel Ofosuba says again, says, good evening, Paul. I explained the dismissal of the head of this judicial institution, Her Ladyship Gertrude Araba Tokunu, the Chief Justice, to an Italian colleague, and he said he was so shocked to hear me telling him of my report. He asked me, Samuel, are your president and the judiciary serious? And then he continued, then your country will be very scared to do business as a foreigner. I believe he is not alone, or not he alone may have the same perception. The executive arms of the state must be cautious for such unwarranted decision taking. It will prevent the foreign investors from patronizing in this jurisdiction. Now, Adama Amadou says, our country has gone to the lowest of the low by this single act of suspending the CJ. Our judiciary is under serious attack, certainly to perpetuate political vendetta. The future is indeed pregnant. And also, Teyo Kansi says, the brain behind the CJ's removal is definitely President Mahama and the NDC. I think that the main idea is to get her out, and after that, the EC boss, they have an agenda, and they know if these two people are in position, it will be difficult for them to achieve their agenda. Now, Kweku Opoku says, JDM and the CNN Ketia have successfully succeeded in implementing one of their manifesto prophecies and promises to the NDC. The NDC lawyers and judges are going to be appointed into the Chamber of Law. Now, the EC chair should prepare for leaving as well. You are the main target and not the CJ. Now, they have the SP, the CJ, and the EC is definitely next. The reset agenda can only function after a new EC is installed.
All right, so Nana Kofi Dromo says, President Mahama and the NDC have clearly set their sights on removing this Chief Justice. They are merely using petitions and constitutional arguments as a cover for their premeditated agenda. Now, Bennett Danso says, good evening, Paul. The President's suspension of the CJ over a frivolous petition has set a very bad precedent. And if it is the NDC's attempt to also want to forcibly remove the CJ because they feel the MPP has been fortunate to be appointing CJs, so they want to use the elimination by rough tactics and also appoint a CJ, then they should also know that whoever they appoint should know that soon as power changes hands, he or she will also be removed. Evil won't triumph over good forever. Give time. The so-called reset will soon be reset. Bash Hassan says, today is a dark day in Ghana. Mahama and NDC, you people should be very careful. Men in the country are watching you. Ghana is not for you, okay? Now, Nana Owusu says, Paul, the formula is just simple. Remember AG Ayini cleared the new Bank of Ghana governor and was appointed the next day. Mahama is just appointing yes men to push the Chief Justice out. Baumiaba Jr. says, since day one, President John Mahama has a problem with our judiciary. So what happened today is not news. The next NPP government will also bring his or her CJ. Case closed. And finally, from Anofo Joseph says, Mr. Paul, I wonder why the so-called legal brains are always quick to mention articles without considering morality and humanity. Now, what do you have for us, Paul? Back to you.
All right.
getting reports from people that they are not seeing the show on DSTV, etc., etc. Let's check it. Please, is the DSTV working? Yeah. But it should have the DSTV on the projector. Sorry, viewers, just 1 minute. We're just checking something. So we're going to start the Chief Justice situation, and we're going to be dealing with it. Please, I'm waiting for the information. Sorry, our viewers are complaining that they can't hear me. Antoinette, please read one more text message. Let me check this one. Read one more text message.
Jesus Champon says, today marks another sad day in Ghana's history, which is the suspension of the CJ, and it is very regrettable and extremely shameful. The judiciary is once again attacked and provoked, and if care is not taken, the Constitution and our democracy we've had so hard for would eventually be destroyed. Let us remember the CJ, the EC, and Mother Ghana in our prayers. We definitely will. Now, Haruna Swali Jakaya says, good evening, Paul. The Mahama government is definitely interested in persecution of its political opponents, hence the suspension and subsequent removal of the CJ. If they do not succeed with the removal of the Chief Justice, there is no way they can institute the regional tribunals to prosecute and persecute the incarcerate opponent. Now, Shadrach Mbale says, hold on. Our country has gone to the lowest of the low by this singular act. And lastly, Radio and TV Afromba says, if I were the CJ, I would have actually resigned before being suspended. What is the use of being suspended if I wouldn't resign earlier? Now back to you, Paul. Are you ready?
Well, I think that we are just on Facebook. We have been taking off DSTV. We are taking off YouTube. We are taking off everywhere. Let me take a break and let's make the reports to the National Communication Authority. We'll have to deal with this. Every time we're on TV, then DSTV is gone off. Every time we're on TV, YouTube is gone off. Why? What is this? Why don't they want people to hear what we are saying? Hey, they should stop that. Please, let me take a short break and tell everyone that I'm complaining that every time I'm on TV, DSTV is gone off. Somehow, Nate George, I'll come after you. Don't bring yourself. What is that? Every time we're on TV, DSTV is gone off, YouTube is gone off, DSTV is gone. What is wrong with you people? You don't want people to hear what we are saying? Stop that. The person you are calling the book Adnesa, did he turn off DSTV for people who are insulting him? We are teaching Ghanaians the history and you are afraid of the history. You are turning off the TV. What is that? Please, I take a short break. I'll be right back.
There's nothing worse than your multi-bet missing, but nothing better than having it saved. Bet Saver.
Mommy.
Michelle say, fe.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Chocolate Toothpaste, healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel Chocolate Toothpaste, Sankofa.
Yenchi, Kel Chocolate Toothpaste.
Happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
Fire pomudi ni agubi Ghana fueni age efise ya your local spices na ya frafra dia ya sankofa natural spice me de go me jollof mu ni me still ahodoma e ma ne dance
Darling, the barbecue they go on.
Sankofa natural spices and one you use 100% natural. Said the happen.
Adofo, mamunye huge mistake. Sankofa natural spices. FDA.
There's nothing worse than your multi-bet missing, but nothing better than having it saved. Bet Saver.
Okay, DSTV is channel 277. Viewers, I apologize for getting upset, but it's very, very annoying when people are small conversation we're having. You don't want people to hear what's the meaning of that. Nobody should tamper with our DSTV feed. They should stop that. Let us talk. You can say your own. We say our own. The democracy is fine. No problem. Yeah. Sam George, good evening. I think it's resolved, so don't worry. But I have a story on you. I will come and do it on Thursday. The dancing, the wedding dancing. Don't worry. I'll do it. It's a nice story. I'll do it. Okay. Lawyer Bafo is ready. So let me give you the 5 minutes introduction. Please, Mike Lawyer Bafo, and let him get ready. Make him do the makeup. He's a handsome guy, so he has to do makeup. Viewers, this is the ballot box, okay? Please confirm with Apriko whether he has the photographs I'm looking for a moment. Please confirm with Apriko. Okay, so this is a ballot box, viewers. This is a very interesting and difficult matter. So as a country, or as any democracy, we have three arms of government: the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature. In the wisdom of the people who were discussing democracy in ancient Greece, and I refer to Cicero, Plato, Aristotle, and all of them. My favorite is Aristotle. The next favorite is Cicero. Now, in their wisdom, they decided that the ballot box should reflect the leadership of the executive and parliament. But the ballot box should not reflect leadership in the judiciary. Over many years of democracy, some people, even including some states in the United States, subject the ballot box to choices in the judiciary. So people run in New York to become Attorney General of New York by the ballot box. The Supreme Court in America is not elected. They don't do that. But in some of these federal arrangements, federal countries in the United States, Switzerland, Nigeria, and all of the South Africa, and those federal places, some states have the state attorney general subjected to the ballot box. Okay. In Ghana, we don't, because we are a unitary state. We're a small country. So we go by the tenets of the Platonic prescriptions for democracy, or the Cicerorean prescriptions for democracy, or the Aristotelian prescriptions for democracy. All right. Now, in those prescriptions, the ballot box is for executive and judiciary, executive and legislature. The reason why they don't add judiciary in their wisdom is that there should be one organization that does not look at itself as partisan. They are appointed by the executive and confirmed by the legislature, both of whom are elected by the ballot box. But once they become Chief Justice, Supreme Court judge, Court of Appeal judge, High Court judge, we call them the High Court, the Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court. We call them the Superior Courts of Judicature. All right. So the ballot box here is to vote president and his ministers executive. Vote the president, he chooses his minister executive. Vote the parliament, and they choose their speaker. All right. The reason why we do not subject judiciary to this is that when the populace have voted for legislature and for president and the work that they will do, the judiciary is there as a catalyst, as a bulwark, as a standing authority to protect the democracy. That is why, should I go from the start? Let me pick one. That is why in the year 2000, John Agyekum Kufuor was elected as president of Ghana by the ballot box. He was elected. Prepare Mr. Chikata's photograph. I'm coming there. Agyekum Kufuor was elected as president of Ghana. He and his party, the New Patriotic Party, won the parliament as well. They won it. And then, okay, I'll come to this in a minute. Let me finish with this one. And then, they won the parliament. Is that 2000? Yeah, 2000 is here. Okay. Yes, thank you. In the year 2000, NPP had 99, NDC had 92. I'll come to this 69. NPP won the presidency and won the legislature. But NPP did not win the judiciary because nobody wins the judiciary. So, right in front of J.A. Kufuor, the Supreme Court gave a verdict to Chachu Chikata. Mr. Chikata was being prosecuted under something called Fast Track High Court. Mr. Chikata had the confidence to go to the court because the court is not ballot. The court was not elected in December. The court was not elected in the second round. No. So he took his matter to the court that the people that you have elected, they are dealing with me the wrong way. And the court, by a Supreme Court majority, said no. There's nothing like fast track high courts in the manner that you are doing it. Let Chikata go. Haven't we seen it? We've seen it. Recently, 2020 elections, the verdict of the ballot went to the MPP by one, albeit. The verdict of the presidency went to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and his attorney general were prosecuting Kaysel Atuforsen. The criminal process suggests that the attorney general will say his own, forgive my language. The defense counsel will say their own. Then the court will decide whether enough has been said for defense counsel to open their defense. When the matter was dealt with in the High Court, the High Court determined that Kaysel Atuforsen has a case to answer because the Attorney General has made a point against him. Atuforsen, today the Finance Minister, he took his matter to the Court of Appeal. Why did Atuforsen have the confidence to take his matter to the Court of Appeal? Because the judiciary is not ballot box. They are not NDC. They are judiciary. The Court of Appeal judges who were appointed by Akufo-Addo, they looked at the matter and said Kaysel Atuforsen should go free. The High Court was wrong. Why didn't Atuforsen take his matter to the president? Because president is partisan. Why didn't Atuforsen take his matter to the parliament? Because parliament is partisan. But he went to the court. Kaysel Atuforsen, he went to the court. Because the court is not ballot box. So you can go and speak to the judge. He's an independent thinker. He was appointed by Akufo-Addo means nothing. And Kaysel Atuforsen is working today because the Court of Appeal under Akufo-Addo, judges appointed by Akufo-Addo, 3 judges appointed by Akufo-Addo, made a determination that Kaysel Atuforsen is free. That is the essence of the judiciary and its opposite relationship with the ballot box. The crisis that we are suffering today is that it appears that the NDC, having won overwhelmingly in the parliament and overwhelmingly in the presidency, also want to transfer that victory to the judiciary. So they are uncomfortable with a judge who they cannot call and say, from victory unto victory, the NDC shall lead. The judge won't sing that song. Is it that the NDC is looking for a judge who will sing that song? So that the NDC has presidency, they have parliament, and then they also have judiciary. Everyone thought Akufo-Addo had judiciary. They said unanimous FC. Then Daniel Domelevo, one of the people who had a brutal fight with Akufo-Addo, and I stood here and made Akufo-Addo's point against Daniel Domelevo. But I'm not the court. As soon as the Supreme Court made a decision that Akufo-Addo was wrong in the removal of Daniel Domelevo, I shut up. I obeyed the court. I see Domelevo as Sugahope. I said, oh, bro, how are you doing? And he said, you. Yeah, I get it. You, I get it. But the Supreme Court has spoken. Today in Ghana, what we are being told is that the one who wins the presidency by the ballot, who also wins the judiciary, who also wins the parliament, must also win the judiciary. That is a disaster for democracy. Development is our goal indeed. Development is our goal. When I say development is our goal, I'm singing the NDC anthem. Stand up for Ghana, ye patriots of the land. Forward and seek your future. Development our goal. From victory on... That's it. You don't know the NDC anthem. Okay, it's this. Arise for Ghana, ye patriots of the land. Forward into a secure future. Forward into a secure future. Development our goal. From victory. That's what they say. Development is indeed our goal. And this is what has happened. That the NDC has such an overwhelming majority. Now, okay, take me to the calendar. Yes. 1969. The Buzia MPP people won 105 seats out of 140. See how overwhelming. Calculate it. It's far more than 2/3. In 69. The MPP won the presidency by that huge margin because the election was only parliament. Prime Minister Buzia became the prime minister. He's one there. Thank you very much, producer. Prime Minister Buzia became the prime minister. Look at the overwhelming number. Please put the number again. Look at the overwhelming number. MPP won 105 over 140. Prime Minister Buzia and his government decided to sack civil servants. We have been here for long. He sacked civil servants, 69. One of the civil servants, his name is Salah. He went to court and said, why has the government dismissed me? The Supreme Court, by a majority of judges appointed by the military people who were MPP, they said that Buzia cannot sack 574 civil servants. Mr. Salah, nobody can sack you. The case celebrated among jurists is called Salah versus the Attorney General. Everybody in law school reads that case. That's why we all meet Mrs. Anija again. May she rest in peace. Fantastic woman. May she rest in peace. Philip Archer was in that. May he rest in peace. Akiyomi was in that. May he rest in peace. This is what happened. The court held together. Come to 79. Please, come to 79. Because of time, I won't go to the details. 79. Give me the figures of 79. Liman had been elected as president of Ghana. Okay. The vote. Out of 140 with 4-5 parties, Liman's party had 71. They just crossed the line. So the PNP had the parliament, and of course the PNP had the presidency. And the PNP decided that they would change the Chief Justice. His name was Modesto Apalu. Modesto Apalu, one of the most distinguished judges we can ever have. You should hear Akufo-Addo talk about Modesto Apalu, you will clap. If Akufo-Addo is telling you who Modesto Apalu is, you will clap. You enjoy the conversation, you will clap. Apalu was brilliant. The PNP felt that Apalu was UP. Apalu wasn't UP. He's a middle there. He's a middle. But he's scholarly. And I'm sure his friends were Buzia and Edward Akufo-Addo and all those. He had friends like that because he was very scholarly, okay. So the PNP came and said they would change Apalu. The Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that. You can win the presidency, you can win the parliament, but this Supreme Court is not political. It's law, it's legal, and we'll stand in the middle. That's why the scale of justice is here. It's here, stands in the middle. The Supreme Court determined in 1979 that no way the government cannot remove Apalu. Apalu will be the Chief Justice. There's a way the government went about it. I don't have too much time, I can't say it, so I'll leave it. So you can research it. The case is entitled Tufuo versus the Attorney General. Last one. 1992, that one some of us can relate to. The NDC had 189 seats. This is Rawlings, the president of the time. Please give me back the figures. Let me show them. The NDC had 189 seats, over 200. This is the biggest majority we've ever had in the world. You will not get a majority like that. 200 seats. National Democratic Congress, NDC, had 189. So they had more than 2/3, 95% of the parliament was theirs. And then J.J. Rawlings was elected as president. They had the presidency and they had the parliament. And then they came and said they want to celebrate 31st December because they are King Kong soldiers. They have come from 31st, whether you like it or not, whether constitution or not, they will celebrate. Peter Ala-Ajete. Oh, when I mention Peter, you have to bow. Great man. Peter Ajete took the matter to court. The Supreme Court, a lot of them appointed by Rawlings, said that no, Mr. President, you can't do that. You cannot celebrate 31st December with taxpayers' money when we are under a constitution. Why? Because the scale of justice. So what am I saying? It is the Supreme Court that holds the balance between the partisan. Because as for politicians, I work with them all the time. I know how politicians think. They think one way. They think where they are going. They think their party. They think their victory. They think their development is our goal. That's all. That's what politicians, MPP, and DC, they're all like that. So we need the judiciary to hold the scales of balance. Now, again, the same Rawlings 92. The people said that right to demonstrate cannot occur to a Ghanaian citizen. God bless Nana Akufo-Addo. Nana Akufo-Addo went to court and said, no, you can't say that. Look at the NDC's majority. 189 over 200. Akufo-Addo couldn't have gone to parliament. Nobody will listen. He can't talk to Rawlings about that. Rawlings will not listen. He went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, by a unanimous decision, decided that Ghanaian citizens have a right to demonstrate. The case is entitled the MPP versus the IGP. Last one. Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, in the same 189 over 200. Ghana Broadcasting Corporation decided that they will not broadcast MPP things. MPP things, they won't broadcast it. Because Vincent Asise was there. And he was a big NDC man. So they said that GBC, you can't do it. God bless Nana Akufo-Addo again. Nana Akufo-Addo went to court and said, but how can the state broadcaster, who is funded by taxpayers' money, decide that they will broadcast only NDC things, they won't broadcast MPP things? What kind of thing is this? Akufo-Addo went to court, courageous. The Supreme Court, a lot of them appointed by Rawlings, decided that on the basis of the law and the provisions of the 1992 Constitution, the GBC is a public broadcaster and they must afford, this was the word, equal opportunity to all political parties. Equal. Justice Amoasechi, God bless you, may he rest in peace. He was on the panel. equal opportunity to all political parties. That's what the Supreme Court decided. Now, how do we have a president comes into power with an overwhelming majority and the agenda is that remove the Chief Justice because he's not singing our song? Did you have Mills there? I saw Mills. How is he doing? Prof, may you rest in peace. Now, Professor Mills, when he became president, enormous pressure was put on him that he should remove Georgina Wood, the law professor. He said, I cannot do that. I am a law professor. I have become president. And the agenda you guys are setting for me is that I should remove Georgina Wood as Chief Justice. I can't do it. Giddy, 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 butu, butu. President Mahama was the vice president. He knows what I'm talking about. He knows the extent of pressure that was mounted on Professor Mills to remove Georgina Wood as Chief Justice. Professor Mills said, me too, me dam da, amen. Me figueo, me da. Or NDC people fought with Professor Mills. They fought with Professor Mills till the time that Professor Mills removed the Attorney General, Betty Modidrisu. Is it not? What word should I use? Betty Modidrisu is today a member of the Council of State. I sincerely hope that she abstained from this vote. I don't know the vote. I've heard people talk about it. But I sincerely hope that she abstained. Because she, of all, more than anyone else, must understand this situation. Because she was the Attorney General. I used to go to her office all the time to go and give her support when she was at Attorney General. Ask Elik Plim Agbamava. He was his PA. I'll call Elik Plim. Is Madam there? He said, Charlie, there's pressure on Madam. You have to come around 9 o'clock. I said, 9 o'clock, have good evening, Ghana. I said, do you have it tomorrow? I said, no, tomorrow. They said, tomorrow, come. I was in Auntie Betty's office. And she would tell me that, look at what they are saying. And I'll be telling her, Madam, don't worry. You are doing your work. Da, 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 da. So I'm just hoping that Betty Modidrisu on the Council of State remembers Professor Mills and remembers the pressure she went under as Attorney General. I gave her my full support in my little way because she was the first female Attorney General to be appointed. It was brilliant. And then she had to be removed. And it was sad. When she went to Ministry of Education, I will go there and go and see her. She's my mother. But today, Betty Mould is on the Council of State. I sincerely hope that she abstained. But this is the matter we are dealing with, viewers. This is the story. The president of, I saw it on BBC, Ghana president suspends Chief Justice. People were calling me from Zambia and say, hey, what happened? I say, take your time. Take your time. It's from victory unto victory. Development is our goal, so take your time. This is what has happened in Ghana today. The scales of justice has been turned like this, like that, and it's been turned upside down. Upside down. I'll leave it here. I can't say much. Let me take 2-3 text messages. Lawyer Bafo is coming. Please bring him in. Let's understand from the proper legal perspective and see what happens. Please, Antoinette again? Kobe, you first.
All right. So thank you, Paul. So Master Planner Jr. Mkintampo says, so what exactly is President Mahama and his NDC seeking to achieve from the removal of the Chief Justice? The NDC are setting a bad precedent and it will surely harm them soon. If they succeed and proceed to remove the current Chief Justice, then the next Chief Justice should just pack home after the 2028 MPP's victory. Now, Safianu Adam says, good evening, Paul and your crew. You can't pursue the path of justice using the path of unjustifiable vengeance. All your actions should be within the remit of the law. This is the first time such a dark day and precedent is unfolding before our eyes in Ghana, in Ghana's growing economy. Ghana belongs to all Ghanaians, and rule of law should be the norm, not one's idiosyncrasies. But what should be crystal clear to every Ghanaian is that every public office holder should know his or her job is coterminous to that of the president in future. And finally, Nana Owusu says, Paul, is it because Ghanaians have short memories only to fail to remember that JDM and his NDC party have been campaigning against the judiciary since the year 2020? There are a catalogue of evidence to the extent that even Esedu Nketia and Sami Jemfi clearly told us that they will sack some of the judges and replace them with NDC judges, just like JDM had initially mentioned in most of his campaign speeches. Are the Council of State members not aware of members of these excesses? In fact, I think the whole Council of State architecture must be replaced with a second chamber of parliament, just like the UK. Now, what do you have for us, Antoinette?
Yes, so Corantin Collins has given us a long read, which I think is is quite recommendable. This is how he puts it. He says, the judiciary is not merely an institutional actor, it is also a cornerstone of democratic credibility. Any action that targets the judiciary, which is the head, especially in the charged arena of executive-judicial relations, must be approached with the utmost transparency and procedural rigor. Even when legally justified, the optics of suspending a sitting Chief Justice can create a chilling effect on judicial confidence and may be perceived rightly or wrongly as politically motivated. Now, the timing, the tone, and process of this inquiry will be watched closely not only by Ghanaians, but by scholars, observers, and democratic partners across the globe. Ghana has long stood out as a beacon of constitutional order and judicial integrity in the region. It is my sincere hope that this episode will be handled in a manner that reaffirms rather than erode that reputation. Now, Liao February says he is having a correction. He says that the NDC government did not appoint the Chief Justice, but they won the 2012 election petition and won a lot more cases under the current Chief Justice. So we not only understand why the NDC government wanted the Chief Justice removed after winning cases when they did not appoint the Chief Justice in the first place. Now, lastly, Moses Echampon is giving us the situation in the New York. He says here in the New York, the Supreme Court judges are elected to 14-year terms, unlike Ghana. But the federal Supreme Court judges are appointed by the executive like Ghana is. However, you will never hear a petition against the Supreme Court judges here except Ghana. Please pray for the Ghanaian Judicial Service, the EC, the CJ, and Mother Ghana in general. Now, lastly, Yusuf Major General Bako says, if Mahama administration remove the CJ, then any newly appointed CJ should not bother to send all their items into their offices because they would be sacked immediately the NPP is declared winners come 2028. Now back to you, Paul.
There are things happening. I understand that the Tamale doctor, the head of the unit, has been suspended. Another one has just been suspended. They've sacked them. Tamale. You saw the thing on the video. Labafo, good evening.
Good evening, my brother.
I'm in black because it's a sad day, but you're in white.
I'm holding a red handkerchief.
Let's see.
I have a red handkerchief I've been holding because of this. For me, it's a very sad day.
I'll hold it there. Let me go and tell viewers about the amended rate that Asifwa has sent to the courts. Just read through a little bit of the matters. So the guy who has the petition before the courts, his name is the Honorable Asifwa. He's member of parliament for Tafo, is it?
Yes.
Okay. So he has amended, the matter is yet to be heard. We know that it was rescheduled for the 6th of May. He's amended the process. He says, the president has exhibited bad faith in the process of the removal of the Chief Justice. That's what he said. And we're asking why. He says, 1, the president initially exhibited an intention not to hear the CJ before the establishment of a prima facie case. This was further buttressed when the AG made the case that there is no law or case that mandated the president to give the Chief Justice a fair hearing before establishing a prima facie case against the Chief Justice. Now, this is the matter that's before the court right now. So, as you know, this is the matter I was talking about, that the judge didn't sit, etc. The matter has been rescheduled for the 6th of May. That's when it will be heard. But the MP, the member of parliament, has amended his rate based on everything that is happening. He's asking the Supreme Court to consider these. That 1, the president of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, initially exhibited an intention not to hear the Chief Justice before the establishment of a prima facie case. This was further buttressed when the Attorney General made the case, an Attorney General made the case in writing, that there is no law or case that mandates the president to hear the CJ. And many lawyers were concerned about that because one of the fundamental rules of procedure is the all the partem rule, which is to hear the other side. He thought that was very basic. But anyway, that's what the Attorney General said to court. The court is here to hear these matters. So this is the amended rate. It says also that the president received the petition in February 2024 and waited till the end of March to disclose the receipt of the petition. All this was while he was undertaking consultations which consultations were not exposed to the public. Okay, so they said the president got the thing in February, he kept it, he suggesting that he had no intentions of giving it to the Chief Justice until the writ was filed and the Chief Justice wrote to him about it. All right. The other one is that the president, John Dramani Mahama, and his party faithful who occupy positions of power today, to wit, Mustafa Bande, who is the Deputy Operations Director at the Presidency, and Asiedun Katia, who is a member of the Parliamentary Services Commission and the chairman of the party, have showed an intention to remove the Chief Justice already. So, in the writ, they detail some of these things like that. That Asiedun Katia said this, Mustafa Bande said this, Felix Kwachu Fosu said this. We don't have too much time to go into that. I'm just suggesting to you that there has been amendment of the writ by Mr. Asifo, the Honorable Member of Parliament. At 20 minutes to 11, let's get on to the interview right now with Lawyer Bafo. Yes, Bafo, you said you wanted to start from Abraham Lincoln.
You see, Abraham Lincoln in his Gettysburg Address said something which I think is very useful for us to do. I'll read a part of it which I think is relevant. It says that it is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead, we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain. That this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people shall not perish from the earth. You know, in 1992, when we committed to democracy, we did not commit to having the semblance of democracy. We committed to having a true democracy.
Okay, but let me ask you, what is wrong with what has happened? Article 146 says that if somebody wants to is unhappy with the Chief Justice, a Ghanaian, you can petition the president. When the president is petitioned, he consults the Council of State. Yes, he showed the letter to the Chief Justice. Council of State have looked at it. We are not seized with, I don't know whether you have the full petition, but Council of State has looked at it, and they say that, hey, wait a minute, the Chief Justice has a question to answer.
Well, I'll tell you what is wrong with it.
Yeah, the president has the power then to suspend the Chief Justice. Yes.
Cannot be isolated from a certain background. The background of Mr. Asiedun Ketia's statement, public statement on various radio stations.
Before the election.
Before the elections and even after the elections. As recently as last week or last 2 weeks. That they were fully committed to removing the Chief Justice. And that they will remove all the members or the leadership of the Electoral Commission. Mustafa Bande had also made a similar statement, if not the same. And so you cannot isolate that. These are the embodiment of the NDC.
That's the Mustafa Bande statement they put on the TV.
That's right. Yeah. The embodiment of the NDC. So it is difficult to look at what has happened as something which is in good faith. But I read the statement to remind us where we are coming from. You see, we've run into a situation where we want to politicize everything in this country. And the middle institution, the institution that finds itself in the middle, we want to also politicize it. But what most Ghanaians don't realize is that, as they say in Chi, is the grass that suffers. And so what we, the political actors, are doing now, right? Yes, we may be unhappy because we are guided by where we are coming from. But ultimately, who is going to suffer? Is the ordinary Ghanaian.
Why would ordinary Ghanaian suffer? If the government of the day have the Chief Justice they want, why is the ordinary Ghanaian
If you politicize the judiciary, there's going to be fear, right? A judge sitting on a matter between yourself and perhaps a friend of a big man or a relative of a big man might be intimidated.
He'll be afraid.
He'll be afraid, yes.
To pass justice.
To pass justice.
Because he'll be sacked.
Because, yes, he can be sacked.
Because the Chief Justice is looking at him upstairs. It's part of the umbrella.
Exactly.
Okay, that said, what is wrong with this process?
There's several things that are wrong. Let's first look at Article 146 of the Constitution. Article 146(1) of the Constitution, which makes provision for the power, right, to initiate the removal processes states that the president, the Chief Justice may be removed for stated misbehavior, incompetence, and infirmity of mind. What is stated misbehavior?
Something that has manifestly been done.
By what? What is it? What is the standard for determining stated misbehavior? There is no legal definition for stated misbehavior. Check. When you look at Ejechun versus Attorney General, it didn't define stated misbehavior.
But the petition was entertained.
Ejechun versus Attorney General considered whether, right, there was the need to determine, right, a prima facie case in the case of the Chief Justice.
Yes, correct.
It didn't consider Article 1461. So as we sit here, what constitutes stated misbehavior? What goes into stated misbehavior? We don't know.
How can we not know? Misbehavior.
Stated.
If I sit here and I take the water and I'm pouring it on myself, and it's not because Black Stars have won a game, I'm just doing that.
That's
misbehavior.
And so you can remove a Chief Justice because of that.
No, not because of this. I'm saying that the Chief Justice does. That's why the petitioner must allege what the Chief Justice has done.
Paul, you see, not every offense will amount to a stated misbehavior.
I agree with that.
Exactly. And so, if you look at the whole gamut of Article 146, I stated it the other time, the interpretation of it is still evolving. And so, Ejechun concentrated on the need for prima facie case, right? What do you call it? Dairy versus Attorney General also considered whether or not, right, the publication of aspects of the petition made it unconstitutional, right? And then went on to say obiter, that in fact the comments of the Chief Justice may be necessary prior to the determination of a prima facie case.
So what's wrong with what has happened?
What is wrong is that there is the need for a regulation, even if you look at Article 146(10).
Do you mean the suspension?
The suspension.
Or the prima facie, or
even
the process?
The whole process.
So what is the cure for a Chief Justice who is grossly misbehaving? What's the cure for it under the Constitution?
So the Constitution has made its provisions. To operationalize it, you need the regulations. And I will explain to you why you need the regulations. Paul, one, as I said, stated misbehavior is not defined. If you want to look at it even from the perspective of an employee-employer relationship, right? What may be considered misconduct is what misconduct is omnibus. The elements of it are always defined. In this particular case, what goes into the consideration of a stated misbehavior?
Well, but audit reports, etc., etc. You can find. I mean, those things are there.
Yes.
So the judiciary is audited.
Yes, and so the Chief Justice, right? The Chief Justice goes into this whole proceedings, okay, wondering whether the offense or the accusation made against her will meet the threshold of stated misbehavior.
Yes.
That is what you do,
yes.
right?
Yes.
And that becomes, it becomes speculative.
Yes.
But the law is such that before you are tried for an offense, you should understand what offense you are tried and the ingredients of the offense, which is why even in criminal law, right, the offense, even when we say stealing, everybody knows stealing, yet
but
what constitutes stealing is defined.
Have it properly defined.
You understand?
It's not every stealing in sociology is stealing in law.
Yes. So, Paul, now, fast forward from 146, right, 1 to 14610. That is the suspension. The provision of the Constitution says the president may.
May, yeah.
That is discretion.
Yes.
Look at Article 296 of the Constitution.
That regulates discretion.
That regulates the exercise of discretion.
Producer, can you put on 14610 and let's read it, and then let's put on 296 so people can understand what we're saying. So, can you put on the TV, please? Okay, great. So this 146, removal of Chief Justice of the Superior Court, removal of justices of the Superior Court of Judicature, Chairman, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you're looking for 14610, isn't it?
Yes. Where a petition may be referred to a committee under this article, the president may. So the president then has the discretion. 296 regulates the exercise of discretion. Let's look at what 296
says. Please put on 296 if you can. and then we can look at it. So we are from 14610, which is about the suspension. The Constitution gives the president the power to suspend, but it says may. Okay, and so may clearly puts us in the arena of a discretionary authority.
Where in this Constitution or in any other law, discretionary power is vested in any person or authority, that discretionary power shall be deemed to imply a duty to be fair and candid. The exercise of the discretionary power shall not be arbitrary, capricious, or biased, either by resentment or... Let's go to C, and you see. Note that in all these instances, A, B, and C would say and. Please, let's go to C.
Yeah, to come to C. Please, can you give us C and then we'll look at it? They're taking long. Okay, but you tell us.
C. It says that it shall be regulated by guidelines, right? Which may be a constitutional instrument or a legislative instrument, right? Now, Paul, do we have a regulation that governs the exercise of this discretion by the president? There's none in place.
No, is it a regulation for the purpose of 14610 or a regulation for the purpose of all discretionary authority?
No, the regulation for the purposes of 1461 and 14610. Because
is 1461 a discretion?
The 1461 is a quasi-judicial function, right? And it makes provision for the grounds upon which the Chief Justice may be removed. Aspects of which requires definition, and that is my view, my position, that stated misbehavior has to be defined, and what constitutes stated misbehavior has to be stated, right? Now, when you go to 14610, okay, it is discretionary. And my argument is that there ought to be regulations to govern it. In this particular case,
you are saying that the Chief Justice should not be suspended. She should still remain Chief Justice. When there's a committee that's investigating allegations of wrongdoing against her, that's not tenable.
I'm saying that in the absence of a regulation, in accordance with Article 296C of the 1992 Constitution, the suspension of the Chief Justice, right, may potentially be unconstitutional. And my position is reinforced, firstly, because it's a quasi-judicial role which is being played by the President and the Council of State, right, by the case of Ransford France, where the Supreme Court actually stated that in quasi-judicial functions, a regulation is necessary.
Oh, I get your point. That is quasi-judicial.
It is a quasi-judicial function which is being performed.
So the president has a discretion, for instance, to name his ministers as many as he wants.
That is different.
That's different. That's not
a quasi-judicial function.
So that discretion is regulated by what? Capriciousness and fairness?
That is not a discretionary power.
It's not?
No, the president has the power to appoint his ministers.
It's not discretionary.
It's not discretionary.
The number of ministers he appoints is discretionary.
It's discretionary. Yeah. But he doesn't need a regulation to govern that. But with the exercise of a quasi-judicial
function... Give me the Constitution. Let me look at Article 78 and see whether this appointment of ministers has any...
Now, Paul, let me refer you to the case...
Take the camera off me. He wants to come and give me a book. He doesn't want people to see him.
Let me refer you to the case of Ransford France.
Okay.
Where Dr. Ban stated as follows.
I'm listening.
He said, this court should follow the highly persuasive authority of Captain. The obligation to make regulations should be limited to discretion that are exercised in quasi-judicial situations. By that I mean where adjudication is involved. You know what a quasi-judicial situation is? The semblance of a court, where there is a semblance of a court. You understand? Now, the Chief Justice is going through disciplinary proceedings. Perhaps that would highlight the picture very well. Is going through disciplinary proceedings, which has led to her suspension.
Yes.
Now we sit here, we don't know the circumstance under which the president may suspend the Chief Justice. When the president determines, the President and Council of State determine that there is a prima facie case, right? Is it in all situations that the president may suspend the Chief Justice?
Once the Constitution says may, but it means it's not on all
It is
situations.
not. So in what
it's at the discretion of the president.
So in what situation will he suspend? And in what situation
you
will he
mean we
not
must have
suspend?
predictability with that?
Yes, and
so
that is the
regulations
essence,
must be formulated by Parliament.
That is the essence of Article 296. And let me tell you,
that's interesting.
Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why it is even necessary. It is necessary because, Paul, the Chief Justice is not the President's Chief Justice. By the wording of Article 125 of the Constitution, the Chief Justice is the people's Chief Justice. And that is why when the President nominates the Chief Justice, he presents the Chief Justice to Parliament for approval. Because he takes the Chief Justice to Parliament and says to them that, I've nominated for the people a Chief Justice.
Is that the same for ministers? Because he takes ministers to Parliament as well.
The reason behind the ministers is different. If you look at 125 of the Constitution, it will tell you that justice emanates from the people.
Yes, correct.
And it is exercised for and on their behalf by the judiciary. And so the purpose for which the president takes the Chief Justice and other justices of the Supreme Court to Parliament for approval is not the same for the ministers. For ministers, is because Parliament will be giving them, right, money to spend by way of budget. And so there's the need for oversight over them to determine whether there are people that can manage such funds and perform the duties of their office.
Fantastic.
That is different.
I get the point.
For the judiciary, they go there because...
Doesn't Parliament approve judiciary's budget?
They do.
Yeah.
But it is not brought by Parliament. It is brought...
It's not brought by the judiciary.
It is not brought by the judiciary. It is brought by the executive. That is the finance minister.
Okay.
So
they don't have any role. The judges don't have any role in you approving their money.
No.
Unlike the minister of, say, justice, who must come to the committee and justify it.
Exactly. But you see, and so when the people have appointed their Chief Justice, you are removing him or her, right? And you think the people shouldn't have a say.
People being who?
The Republic, the citizens of Ghana,
through
their representatives.
Who form the regulations?
Who pass the regulation
of how a Chief Justice can be suspended. In these circumstances. Okay, I have to say you are right, because I just looked at Article 78, and 78(1) says that ministers of state shall be appointed by the president, with the prior approval of Parliament from among members of Parliament, or persons qualified to be elected as members of Parliament, except that the majority of ministers shall be appointed from among members of Parliament. Then it goes on. The president shall appoint such number of ministers of state as may be necessary for the efficient running of his government. So these are not discretionary. These are obligatory.
What even makes the need for a regulation in this circumstance very, very necessary is that the whole system per the wording of the Constitution, Paul, is in camera.
Yes.
Indeed, even the Council of State, without the expression of the Constitution, would have done this in camera. Because the Council of State's own business, nobody knows what goes on at the Council of State. True or false? Have you ever seen...
We've seen the president says with the advice of the consultation. We are not privy to what they discuss.
Exactly. But more importantly, when the people have appointed their Chief Justice through their representatives in Parliament, they wake up to hear that the Chief Justice now has been suspended without an input from Parliament, which would have been done through the passage of a regulation.
To regulate the exercise of discretion under 14610.
Exactly. And so potentially it is unconstitutional. And you see, when we are doing this, Paul, I know we are out of time, and I don't think that I don't need to belabor the point. Paul, the history of this country has been so politicized that, very respectfully, the Gen Z generation, they don't even know how we got here.
Because we don't tell our history.
Some of them,
they removed it from the schools.
Some of them think that this democracy it just fell on our laps. I may be young, but by the grace of God, I've been around and I've read extensively. Paul, you will not believe it. Even before I turned 15, I was using money given to me for lunch to buy newspapers. The newspaper vendor knew my house, and my mom would always be crying that they are making me starve. And at the time, I'd become very lanky as a result, because I used to starve and read newspapers. A lot of struggle have gone into this democracy, that we should not yield certain freedoms, right, and protections in the Constitution on the platter of gold. Paul, you know, we have to be careful. We have to be careful. I think that Justice Tokonu owes our forefathers who fought for the 1992 Constitution a duty to fight for her office.
Fight for her office?
Yes, you see, when I refer
the office doesn't belong to her.
No, fight for her office, meaning that she is the occupant of that office today. That's what I mean, Paul. You see,
so she must bring an action to court.
She herself must mount the action.
In persona.
She shouldn't be,
as a suspended Chief Justice.
Yes. Paul, let me say this.
To challenge the suspension.
Yes, she has to.
In the Supreme Court.
Because, Paul, you see, when you are bequeathed an inheritance, don't you fight for it?
You do.
And so when you have been given an office, knowing where we have come from, don't you think it should be fought for?
Well, I had some friends of hers say that she might not submit herself to the in-camera process. She wants a public hearing. Is that allowed under the Constitution?
Well, that would be a breach of the Constitution. But the last time a publication of the petition was done in the dairy matter, the Supreme Court even though said that, yes, it might have flouted the constitutional provision for an in-camera hearing, it still did not negate or invalidate the proceedings. And so it may well not be considered to be unconstitutional, dependent on how the Supreme Court looks at it. But Paul, you see, we all have a duty to fight to protect the Constitution. We don't have to politicize our judiciary, right? Paul, if we go
Somebody
on
will say that you were in town, not yet a member of parliament, when Akufo-Addo sacked Charlotte Osei.
Paul, Charlotte Osei is more or less, let me say, my friend, right? She fell on a sword by her own colleagues in office.
That therefore justifies the removal of Charlotte Osei?
No, she fell on that sword, right?
But they applied the constitutional processes to file an impeachment against her.
You cannot compare Charlotte's office as EC chair to that of the CJ.
Definitely, I agree with that.
We are referring to the head
you know, I was making a point. When all the political systems fall, from December 7th up until January 6th, and everything falls, the Chief Justice that remains.
Paul, do you remember?
When we go to the Independence Square for the inauguration, the only available leader in the country is the Lord Chief Justice.
That is why we need to begin to highlight the history of this country to all those who are on social media insulting some of us. It is not about Madam Gertrude Tokonu. It's not about her. It's about democracy. It's about constitution. Do you remember the case of Espati Shackelford?
I don't remember the details, but I remember the
title. By the late Crantinado, who was one of the judges that were killed, right? The martyrs of our democracy. At the time she determined Espati Shackelford, there was no constitution.
That's interesting.
There was no constitution.
So it comes out of natural law.
The courage of some of our judges, I wouldn't say all of them, Paul, anyone who has seen me in court, right, would say I should be the last person defending our judges. I've always had brushes with our judges. I've always. You cannot be...
You are proud of that?
Yes, you cannot be a strong litigator.
This is a barrister you are having brushes with judges?
You cannot be a litigator, right, very respectfully, worth your salt, if you cannot stand your grounds. And everybody...
Against the bench?
Of course. It happens every now and then. It happens every now and then. Look, you saw Tadio Sori against Tokonu, Justice Tokonu.
Yeah.
Thaddeus by far is one of the best lawyers in this country. You cannot be a litigator worth your salt if you cannot stand your grounds against a judge. Very respectfully, we don't fight. It's just you standing your grounds intellectually.
But you're saying that this point is about institutions. It's not whether a judge is good, judge is bad. So you say once somebody has become Chief Justice, the person can do anything they want.
No, you can remove the Chief Justice.
But that's what they are doing.
Paul, what's she being removed for?
We don't know. Some petition.
You don't know.
Yeah.
What has she been suspended for?
Because a prima facie case has been found, and the law says that when a prima facie case has been found, the president may, in his discretion.
What went into the consideration of discretion?
That's where your point is valid. So
exactly.
There has to be predictability.
Exactly.
Because people don't know. Otherwise, somebody who doesn't like a Chief Justice
when you look at,
just gets a petition.
When you look at Article 296 of the Constitution, the only exception is for judges, right? And judicial officers. It doesn't include the Chief Justice. It doesn't include the president. And so somebody might say the president is exercising a discretion, is the president of the country. No, the president is regulated by the constitution of the land. And I am saying that we need to be careful. I am not fighting for Tokonu, Justice Tokonu. I am fighting for our constitution, especially against the backdrop of commentary that has been made by the chairman of the NDC and the General Secretary, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. That clearly shows that this is a political witch hunt, right? So we need to make sure that this does not become the path we are going to travel henceforth as a nation. Tomorrow, if it becomes easy to remove a judge of the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice, it will become easier to remove a judge. When I have a case before the judge will be intimidated, especially because a government official is involved, a politician is involved, right? Already I have a problem with the mode of appointment of our judges, because itself, in and of itself, right, it creates a certain, discomfort among judges. Okay, now we are witnessing the removal of a Chief Justice. What is going to happen? When people are lobbying to become judges
of the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court.
I know one.
Yes, when people are lobbying to become judges of the Supreme Court, what happens? They will be controlled, or there's the propensity of control.
That's the point. They will be lobbying through political party apparatchiks.
Exactly.
Who have no basis to know whether they are good judges or they're not good judges. So they're going to call Mustafa Bande and say, Mustafa, can you give my name to the old man?
Now it is obvious that they can also be removed.
Oh, yes. In the same way that the Chief Justice, and so even the Chief Justice has been removed, how much more?
Yes. So where are we heading to? This is my concern.
Doesn't the NDC need control of the judiciary, don't they, to prosecute the reset agenda?
To do what?
The reset agenda.
If you think that there's a problem with the judiciary, pursue reforms. Luckily, you're undertaking constitutional reforms. Well, all over the world, right, there's a revolution in terms of the appointment of judges. If that is what is giving you a discomfort. Now, Canada, for instance, right, has an independent body that appoints their judges of their Supreme Court.
We might need that.
England, the Supreme Court of England, now has an independent body that appoints their judges. And so if you have a problem with our Supreme Court judges and our Chief Justice, let's undertake a reform.
But once they undertake the reform, Justice Tokonu will be there. They don't like her.
Paul, you are in power for 4 years.
8, maybe.
No, 4. President Mahama is in power for 4 years. Right? What at all can you do?
With what?
Look, even if you start criminal prosecution, right? Today, I can tell you may not finish within 3 years.
Was 7.
You may not finish within 3 years. What are you seeking to achieve?
Why do these cases take so long? That's a different matter. But anyway, let me not. The producer is putting this video together. Let me not bring in extraneous matters. Anyway, so your point you are making, Bafo, fundamentally is that the process, the way it has gone, is going to affect judicial confidence. It's going to intimidate the judiciary. And this is the most important institution for the protection of democracy.
Yes. You see, let me say.
The president has removed the IGP. He didn't say anything.
The IGP is literally part of the executive.
Okay, is it like a minister?
Of course, the IGP serves at the pleasure of the president.
Every day?
Okay,
that's why there was no impeachment process.
Just sack him.
But that's another point. That everyone the president wants to sack, he can sack.
Yeah.
When it comes to Chief Justice, a citizen,
the Chief Justice,
it must come from a citizen.
The Chief Justice is the head of an arm of government.
Like the Speaker of Parliament.
The Chief Justice, right, is at par, co-equal to the president.
Well, president is one, vice president under the constitution, president is one, vice president is two, speaker is three, chief justice is four.
But in terms of separation of powers, in terms of separation of powers, even though as a result of checks and balances, certain powers are exercised, or initiated by the president, okay, with parliament participating, okay, and then the judiciary too, for instance, the appointment of our judges. But it doesn't make the Chief Justice subservient to the president. So this is my concern.
I get it.
We have come too far for this to happen. Look, under President Rawlings, you rightly pointed out, there were several unfavorable decisions.
Made by the court.
By the court.
By judges he appointed.
And President Rawlings, of all people, right, remember at some point, he even, out of anger, I've forgotten the exact words, attacked the Supreme Court.
Yeah, on the 31st December case.
But he did not.
He said they want to obliterate 31st December from the history of Ghana and they will fail.
He didn't even contemplate the removal
of a judge or those judges.
You understand? I mean, what are we? Look, today, when you talked about the 31st case, do you know what dawned on me? You saw the position they took, that the celebration of the 31st with public funds may be unconstitutional. I'm sure that the real reason was to make sure that we forget about.
Absolutely, yes.
That might have been the real reason.
They wanted to erase that from the history.
Today, the NDC is contemplating introducing tribunals.
They said so. It's in their manifesto.
Yes.
Dominic Aini said so at the vetting.
Yes. You understand? So we need to be careful.
Let's take our final text messages and see what people are saying, and then we can be wrapping it up. This is a very sad day in the constitutional democracy of Ghana. The story is that President John Dramani Mahama has suspended the Chief Justice, Madam Gertrude Sakitokono, from her job and has appointed her to a committee at the Council of State that's going to listen to a petition that has been written against her. Kobe first? Antoinette, you first.
Right. So Baku Yusuf, Major General, says, in Ghana, the president can remove the Chief Justice through impeachment proceedings in Parliament, but not directly suspend them. The Constitution outlines a process to removing the CJ, which involves petitioning Parliament and a thorough investigation. Therefore, as the CJ is finally suspended pending the final determination of the petitions against her, due process is working, and the debased judiciary will redeem it lost glory, trust, and truth. And he adds, NPP is gone. Now, Samuel Kweku Aluta says, is the CJ's office a game show where you can eliminate at your convenience, or there are laid down procedures to be followed? Now, Mercy Ajakum thinks that this is a political watch hunt. Mahama and Esiedin Ketia said that was what they were going to do when they come into power, and she has a hashtag, everyone must be in charge. Anthony Mensah says, after the CJ issue, I believe that the NDC is going to change the Ghanaian constitution. Don't say I did not tell you. Alexander Yamicha says, very educative discussion today. Keep it up, Paul. And lastly, Master Planner Junior Kintampo says, in fact, Lawyer Bafo makes law so interesting. Such a brilliant lawyer. God bless you. Over to you.
All right, so Yao February says, NDC government did not appoint the Chief Justice, but they won the 2012 election petition and won a lot of cases under the current Chief Justice. So we can't understand why the NDC government wanted the Chief Justice removal after winning cases and they did not appoint the Chief Justice. Now Zachariah Osman says, good evening, Paul. From your presentation, I have come to one and only one conclusion, that Ghana is moving to a state of anarchy, where people who will soon feel persecuted, and will not have the justice they so need in the courts, will have no option than resist against any injustices. No oppressed state can have peace. Now Raymond Nso says, interesting days indeed in Ghana. This Chief Justice brouhaha is clearly political, but what beats my imagination is the conduct of the eminent members of the Council of State. Are they also politically motivated, or are they just toothless dogs? May God save Ghana in these trying times. Now, finally, Nana Owusu says, this lawyer is on top of his brief and knows his stuff. The CJ is very knowledgeable and uncompromising. That's why Yanum are trying their best to suspend her, to force her to eventually resign. Madam, don't resign today, tomorrow, or the next day. Show them that you are the law, and the whole thing is a political stunt. Now, back to you, Paul.
What would be your last words before we take a bow and get some water to drink?
You know, all I'm saying is that let's focus on developing values for the administration of this country. Not just for today, but for tomorrow. We may not like a person. We may, not be a fan of what somebody may have done. But we need to be careful not to set the wrong precedent, because it may come back to destroy all of us one day. That's my conclusion remark.
Wow. It may come back to destroy all of us one day. What will come back to destroy all of us one day? Your guess is as good as mine. Hopefully Ghana will not be destroyed. The democracy will not be destroyed. Good evening again, and good night.